Welcome to From Betrayal to Breakthrough, and here is a mini dose of Dr. Debbie where I'm sharing tips, suggestions, strategies, and sometimes just motivation to have you move past your betrayal once and for all. Hi there. So, I'm always talking about shattered trust and betrayal, and most importantly, how to heal from it. And I also talk about repeat betrayals. And what happens with a repeat betrayal is it's an unhealed betrayal. The faces change. You may go from boss to boss to boss, or friend to friend to friend, partner to partner to partner. And you say, what the heck, is it me? Yes, it is. Not in that it's your fault, in that it's your opportunity. There is a profound lesson needing to be learned. You are lovable, worthy, and deserving. You need better boundaries in place. Whatever your particular lesson is, you will have opportunities that look like people to teach you until that lesson is understood. So last night I was speaking at a friend's group, and there was someone there who realized that there have been many betrayals, starting from family, then going to partnership betrayals and repeat partnership betrayals. And we think, well, it's really the symptoms of post betrayal syndrome I'm struggling with are because of my most recent experience, or the reason why I feel so rejected or abandoned or my confidence has been shattered is from this most recent experience. And I've seen this so many times. It's not. Yes, that's where there's another opportunity to see the same thing again, but that's often not where it started. And for this particular person, it started way, way back in childhood. And when you realize that something traumatic happened in childhood, and you didn't have the tools, the resources to move through it, in any specific way, the people around you may not have had the tools and resources. So you did your best to move through it. But what happened is when these things happen, like let's say you're 5 years old, you make something mean something. Like, for example, if I tell you how many people tell me that when they were a little kid, they were molested or something horrible happened like that. And they made it mean there was something wrong with them. They were bad or wrong or ashamed or whatever it was. And then they don't have the tools and resources. I mean, think about it. You're a little kid, right? And you don't know what to make of it. But if you don't heal from that, what could you do as you're going through life, but assume that these beliefs that are now in your head are true? So if you believe you're not lovable, worthy, deserving, you can see how that would lead you to relationships that prove that, or you would take a job that maybe proves that, or maybe accept things in your life that prove that. Because once those beliefs are formed, your mind just wants to prove you right. That's it. And a belief is this: it's no more than the repetition of an idea from someone you trust. So maybe someone said something to you enough times and it became your belief. A family member, a teacher, someone in a religious capacity, they said it enough times and it became yours. It doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it true. It just makes it yours. Or in a scenario of something traumatic happening when you were a little kid, you may have made that mean something. Doesn't make it right, doesn't make it true, but it makes it yours. And then we go through life not addressing this. So this is for so many of us, it's just there. And we live a life based on that belief that was formed. I think I wrote about this in From Hardened to Healed, and I may have shared this on other episodes where I give this example of, let's say, a 10-year-old boy, and he has some earth-shattering news to share with his mom. And he runs into the kitchen with this earth-shattering news, and mom is on the phone. So she shushes him, shh, 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 right? Now, at that very moment, he could have made that mean, I'm not important. I don't matter. Now, if he doesn't take a look at that, what he'll do is find confirming evidence to support that belief. So then if accidentally a door slams shut on him, he may think, I don't matter. Or someone cuts him off in traffic as he gets older and he's driving. I don't matter. And you can see how something as small as a shush, right? Where his mom just, she was on the phone. She didn't mean anything by it. He made that mean, I don't matter. And then what happens with your mind is over time, it's like, oh, I didn't realize you want this as a belief. No worries. You go about your business and I'll just keep this as this subconscious belief. And I think we have something like between 60 and 80,000 thoughts a day. The majority of them are negative, and you and I both know people where that's conservative, right? So think about it. If there's some belief of, I'm not worthy, I'm not lovable, I'm not important, from something as small as the mom shushing the kid to something as traumatic as, let's say, sexual abuse of a little child, right? Now, can you see how the behaviors, the habits, the life that someone would have would be representative of that? And so I shared with this group yesterday, I said, take a look at your life and take a look around you. Your life is a representation of the beliefs you hold. Every belief you hold got you right here. So it's going to take a new set of beliefs to get you somewhere else. So think about it. If you have this belief, and maybe you've had it for decades, that you're unworthy, that you're not enough, right? And now your life is a representation of that because of accepting less than you should, tolerating stuff that you should not be tolerating, not standing up for yourself, sticking around for repeat betrayals without any change, things of that nature. Now, can you see how your last few decades, along with the symptoms of post betrayal syndrome that are guaranteed if that's what's happening with you, can you see that your life is based on the meaning we gave something from so long ago? Again, I am not saying any of this is your fault. I'm saying it's a gigantic opportunity. Now, what usually happens is when I point this stuff out to people, there's a little bit of shock, and then there's anger. There's a lot of anger because then they realize, oh my gosh, I have been spending the last 10, 20, 30, 40, what plus years feeling less than, unworthy, undeserving, unlovable, all of this because of what happened to me years ago. And think of the power we give that person, we give that situation when we're living a life based on beliefs of something that we made it mean something from years ago. Again, not your fault. This is just what we do. But then here's the moment. Here's the moment right here. Once the realization happens and the awareness is there and the anger is there, what do you do now? What do you do with that? That's the moment. That's the moment where you could say, wow, I look at that. I didn't realize I did all that. What can I do to change it? But you know what I see so often? So often, unfortunately, what I see is someone has that realization, but they've been so conditioned by their own set of beliefs and by the people around them that it feels too big to change. It feels too big to make different decisions. It feels too big to think a different way. So what do? They stay with the known familiar, even if it stinks. And I know you may be thinking, well, that's so crazy. If your life stinks and if your belief stinks, well, why wouldn't you want to change it? Thinking is hard. Change is hard. And so we stay with that known familiar so often. It's like, and I may have shared this in another episode too, when you I use this analogy of a snowy path. Let's say you're in a place where there's snow and you wake up in the morning and there was a gigantic snowstorm, and now you can't even leave your house because the snow has covered your whole path. And then someone, you or someone else paves a path, right? And let's just say now there is a paved path, but let's say it doesn't even bring you anywhere good. Let's say it just brings you to the end of the street and that's the end. Well, it's paved, so you can continue to walk that way, but it's not bringing you where you want to go. Now, if you were to pave a new path, and let's say you don't have a shovel, you're just sort of walking on a new path until it's paved. Think about what would happen right here. It's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be slippery and everything else. You may fall, but if you're committed to going on that new path and just committed, like you are not going on that old path, over time, the new path will become as well worn as the old one, but now it's taking you somewhere so much better. That's the way it works with our beliefs. We can't change what we're not aware of. So the first thing is, what are we believing? What did that situation have us believe about ourselves, about life, about people, right? And if it's not serving, what do we want to believe instead? How do we change the belief so that it's something that's serving us? And we do something within the PBT Institute, and I have this in I have our signature Betrayal to Breakthrough program, which literally moves people through the 5 stages along with everything else, working with our coaches and everything. But one of the things that I teach in one of the modules is bridges. And for so many people, and I created bridges because for so many people, affirmations sound nice, but they feel too unrealistic, and so the mind can't grab onto them. Like for example, if you say, I'm a lean, mean fight machine, and you're, hundreds of pounds overweight, your mind's like, no, you're not. And it kicks it right out. But if you say instead, if it's true, I'm eating healthier every day. Well, that could very likely be true. That's a bridge. Your mind can believe it. And over time, you create these new neural connections and this new wiring that you're laying down. It's really like creating that new path. That's how that works. So, what would happen if you realized that the betrayal that you thought you were working on wasn't necessarily your most recent one? What if you took a look back and realized, oh my gosh, that friend who blew me off in grade school, I was in third grade and they didn't want to play with me on the playground, or that girlfriend or boyfriend who broke my heart in high school, or that parent who did something awful, or that person in a position of authority, whatever it is that you find out. And then what if you realize, oh my gosh, you know what? I made that mean this particular thing. We have a Trust Again 2.0 program. It's like a sort of dip your toe in program. And that's one of the activities I have people do on day one of that program, because they're realizing, wow, I'm so fixated on my most recent experience, and with good reason, it's painful. But where did that first shattering of trust happen? And if you take a look, you may find it happened so many years ago. And because of that first shattering of trust, you moved into scenarios or relationships, often not because they were good, because they felt familiar. It's like, oh, I know how to do this. Or because that first experience had you believe, I'm not worthy, I'm not deserving, I'm not lovable, I'm not whatever. So you just accepted this set of experiences or relationships or betrayals going forward because of what that first experience, the beliefs that happened based on that first experience. The beauty is, once you know this, that's the opportunity. That's the opportunity. And even if this right now, hearing this podcast, it's the first time you're realizing, oh my gosh, I had a situation when I was 10 years old. That's where all this came from. Beautiful. Instead of just being angry at the wasted time, yeah, you want to process that. But then after that, it's don't waste any more time. Because think about it. Now that you know, what do you do with that? You, as long as you're breathing, you have an opportunity to change. So if you don't have the tools and the resources, that's what we do within the PBT Institute. Let us help you. But if you're realizing now that, yeah, this is a long time, this is years, if not, this is decades. life is waiting. Life is waiting. Don't allow someone else's actions from all those years ago to have you believe you're unworthy or unlovable. Think about it. Look at the power we give someone when we allow their actions to create our life. Now, I'm not saying this stuff is easy and that's why you need support. But what I am saying is when we give someone that much power over us, it's preventing us from healing. It's preventing the healing that's waiting for you when you realize that person, as crazy as it sounds, was doing the best they could based on their ability at the time. Because anyone conscious, right? Anybody who's living in a whole, healed, healthy space wouldn't hurt a fly, right? And then when you realize I made it mean something, but that doesn't mean it's true. And from this adult space, when I can create whatever it is I want, I'm choosing to work through that belief in order to process it, move through it, and create another one that serves me so much better. Even though a belief is there, it doesn't mean it's good. It doesn't mean it's right. It doesn't mean it needs to stay. You've heard of spring cleaning, where you take a look and you get rid of the things that just don't represent the version of you want to be in that new space. I recommend doing a spring cleaning of some of your beliefs. See what's there. You may be shocked when you take a look and realize, oh my gosh, I've been carrying this belief around my whole life. It's not true. I can let it go. And the last thing I'll say about this is we very often confuse beliefs with facts. A fact cannot be disputed. A belief can. If that belief can be dismantled, take a look. Is it worth dismantling? Is it worth changing? Is it worth letting it go? Because it's holding you back. This may be the reason why you found yourself in stage 3 for years, if not decades, from what someone did and the meaning you gave it. It's time to heal. It's time to realize just because it happened to me, it's not about me. And now I'm going to move through the stages and heal from those symptoms of post betrayal syndrome and create something magnificent based on the lessons I've learned and who I've become. And as you hear me say all the time, when you do that, that's trauma well served. So take a look at those beliefs. Take a look at the first time trust was shattered and see if you possibly made it mean something, that it's time to take a look at it. And if it doesn't work for you, let it go. I hope that helps. I'll see you next time. You need the right tools, support, and the right community to move through the 5 stages from betrayal to breakthrough. And we have all that within the PBT Institute. So join us at the PBT, as in Post Betrayal Transformation, thepbtinstitute.com. There's a version of you who's so confident, healthy, peaceful, and happy on the other end of your healing. And we can't wait to help you get there. We got you. Thanks for listening. And here's to your breakthrough.